Her husband and mother-in-law humiliated her, but didn't imagine that she would destroy the estate. The Montenegro estate rose imposingly amid vast agave fields for any stranger. That place represented power, prestige, and tradition, but for Renata was nothing more than a gilded cage where its dignity was trampled. Day after day, Renata walked hurriedly through the long hallways of the house with her gaze down and her heart racing. The grand dining room was packed with influential guests from world of the business and of the high society. The event of that night was only just a dinner ordinary, was a celebration of the achievements of her husband, Javier, the man who she despised. Without mercy, she had passed all the day supervising the details, making sure every dish was perfect and every glass sparkled. But nothing of that mattered, because in the eyes of Javier and his mother, Mrs. Rosa, she wasn't worth anything. Renata, hurry up! She spat. Doña Rosa crossed her arms with an expression of disgust. Can't you even serve a table properly? You are a shame. Some people in the table exchanged glances but no one said anything. They were used to see Renata being treated like if she, a maid of the house. Javier sat at the head of the table, not even turned to look at her. He too busy smiling at Regina, the beautiful lawyer who acted as if she were the hostess. Renata swallowed. Seco knew who was Regina, knew what her presence. There with trembling, he tried. Pour wine into the glass of her husband's. A fatal. Javier of Soon withdrew the glass abruptly, causing it. The wine, red spill spilled over his expensive suit. A silence deathly invaded the room. But what the is wrong, Renata? Bram Javier getting up, everyone's eyes were on her, her face burning with shame. I was an accident. You useless woman, let go. He shaking his shirt with annoyance. Already me got fed up with your blunders. No useful for anything, Renata, not anything. For this, Regina hid a smile behind her glass. Enjoy the humiliation. Doña Rosa clicked her tongue and shook her head. You told son, this woman never was at your level. But you persisted to marry with her. Look at the words were daggers in his chest. Renata felt that the floor was crumbling under their feet. Looked at his around, looking someone glimpse of compassion, but only found impassive, and that judged that mocked at her. And then she, a sob, her little daughter, Sophia, was at the end of the living room, with the eyes reddened. The trembling mom whispered, with her voice broken. Renata felt a pang of pain, so intense that it cut his breath. Not only they humiliating her, they humiliating her daughter. But Javier did not finish. Finished with a abrupt, he took the bottle of wine, and without thinking, poured the liquid over. Renata, soaking the murmur, she spread like wildfire. Like you better, said Javier with contempt, throwing the bottle at a side. Renata felt the wine, cold, sticking to its skin, running down her face. The silence weighed the heat of the shame that suffocated. Her hands were trembling, but he could move. Go from here. You're ruining the night, he added her husband, with one indifference that destroyed even more. Doña Rosa smiled, satisfied. Regina drank another. Zorbo of wine amused Renata. No could breathe. Her eyes were fixed on their daughter, the little Sophia. Looked with a pain so deep that it broke his soul, could allow it. No, could continue living. Like something inside of Renata. Broke that night. Turned on his heels, soaked, humiliated, broken, but with a determination born in his chest, without saying a single word, took to Sophia from the hand, and walked towards the door and through. First time in a time the control of his own life. The air in the Montenegro estate was dense, suffocating after. Of the humiliation in the dinner, Renata spent hours locked in the bathroom, sitting in the floor, with her clothes soaked with wine and the broken. His body trembled, but knew if it out of rage from helplessness, or of the profound sadness that was consuming. Sophia had fallen asleep in her bed after of cried, until out strength. Renata had held, whispering promises that still did, knew how to not, could go like no, after of it. What happened today, when it from bathroom, the house was in complete silence. Javier was in the room, was strange in the last months he spent more nights away from home, that inside always had excuses for business meetings, events, important, but after of it happened, after of seeing Regina at her side at Renata could ignore the doubt that was drills his chest. Where was Javier? By first time in years, decided. Find out with his heart pounding in the throat, went to office of her husband's. The door was ajar, entered with caution. His hands were sweating over the desk. He saw his phone. Javier never left his phone unattended. What would you do? Give Renata one sentence of encouragement. Write it in the comments. He was too careful. But this time, he had forgotten Renata. It took between her hands and the screen, lit up a message. New from Regina. I'm waiting, love. No latte too. Your vision was clouded. His fingers trembled while he opened the conversation. Messages, photos, videos. All was there. The words of Javier, the I love you. He no longer told her the promises that she made to Regina, the proof of his betrayal. Renata felt that her stomach was churning. Her husband, the man, by the whom it had given everything that had been cheating, shamelessly. And not only that, the humiliated into Regina, the exposed, the destroyed, while his lover was Thea of her. In her own home, the anger, the blinded, no measured the consequences, only grabbed the keys of the car, and out the treasury, knew exactly where to the hotel. Most luxurious of the city was illuminated with golden, reflecting in the enormous windows. Renata parked the car of any way and entered. As a whirlwind, didn't need ask. At reception, knew where. Find him? She went up in the elevator, fists clenched until his nails were dig into her skin every second that went by, fed the storm inside of her. Went it to hallway, she saw the door slightly from inside. They heard laughter, and murmurs could be heard thud that struck against the door, echoed through all the hallway. Javier appeared in the threshold, barefoot with the open. Behind of him, Regina wrapped in a sheet of silk. The time seemed to stop. For an instant, no one said anything until that Javier snorted with annoyance. What are you doing here, Renata? Her tone. No had blame, not had remorse, only contempt. Regina smiled with smugness. Well, this is uncomfortable, said in a mocking. Renata felt that her blood was boiling in his veins. You are a damned bastard, he let out with a shout. A door he tried, hit him in the chest, but Javier held by the her, with force, low. The voice hysterical him, Siseo, to ear. No do a scene, Renata struggle. But he her pushed without effort. Do a scene, let go a bitter. Bitter me, you humiliated into everyone. Me cheated me, treated like trash. And now you expect that I stay quiet. Javier sighed, like if he exhausted of dealing with her. And what to expect? Renata said with disdain. You're boring. No, me contribute anything. Regina is a woman of truth, not someone who only good to clean and caring children. The blow was direct to his soul. That was what he thought about her. Regina. He laughed with mockery and leaned on the threshold of the door. You should thank me, dear. Thank to me, Javier. For finally it happened, realized of what he wants. Renata felt what mist her air had endured contempt. There was endured insults. But this was too. Javier. Crossed his, if you leave, get out, but don't wait for you. Take anything. Renata felt that something inside her was for forever. No need anything from you, he whispered with the face bathed in tears. The only that I take is my daughter. Sophia is mine also. No you care, Sophia, or even the look at uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, Javier no answered. Because true Renata. He looked at him one last time, and then he knew this man. The man to who had loved, that had given everything, was gave around, and left from hotel. The wind from of the whistled through of the hacienda. Montenegro, Renata was driving around back with her hands clenched on the steering wheel, the head turning. Head stomach churning of rage and humiliation. Javier, thee had betrayed, and not even had tried. Hide it, the words that he and Regina said, told in the hotel, they echoing in his head. You're boring. No me contribute anything. Regina is a woman of truth. The tears were down her face, without control. How had been so blind? She thought in Sofia, in her daughter of years, who slept in the estate of others to everything, the pain that was happening to her around. No could stay, or a day longer, in that hell. I had to leave accelerated, determined to pack her belongings and leave with her daughter before dawn, sunrise. But Doña Rosa. The shot was waiting. When Renata crossed the door of the treasury, found her mother-in-law sitting in the seats of Grand Hall, with a drinks of cognac in hand, and the expression of satisfaction on the face. Go like that. You came back, she murmured. Doña Rosa settling herself with elegance. Renata did not have strength to a discussion. His sole purpose was to take Sofia, and leave from there, no have anything to talk with. Tried to walk towards the stairs, but the voice of Doña Rosa stopped in seco. That's you. You went to look for Javier. Renata closed her eyes with anger. What dressed her? Her right already. What new? She whispered Renata. Without turning, Doña Rosa let go a laugh, for of course that you knew. But you best know to do, is pretend that it nothing. Pretend that you, a marriage, pretend that still being a lady of society. Renata turned to face her. Javier, me cheated, with the woman he, in my house, in me. And what did you expect? Doña Rosa shrunk her. Her Mayav needed a woman of truth, not a peasant with delusions of grandeur. Renata felt a stab in her chest. I endured 2 of you, he whispered with the voice trembling. Your insults, your contempt, your humiliations. But now no. Any me leaving from here, Doña Rosa. Me, I'm to forever. Her mother-in-law. I let go a laugh at you. Leave to where, darling? No you money, no you family, no you absolutely nothing. And what do to do with the girl? Drag her with you. To the misery. I'd rather. To my daughter. In poverty. Poverty that left in this house, full with poison poverty. Doña Rosa half closed her eyes. And of what you? To live from cleaning houses of begging for. Because that is the only you to do. Renata felt her face burn with shame, with word of that woman. The maid feel more insignificant, more small. Doña Rosa, she put on up her and approached slowly, looking at her from up to, with contempt. You are pathetic. Renata, a failure. Renata closed her fists with force. Tell it you but don't, will stay here, when tried to climb the stairs. Doña Rosa went interposed in her path. Not go to take to Sofia. The heart of Renata stopped. What did you say? Javier never. You leave, take her away. And even he doesn't move a finger. I will take care of that girl be. Stay here in the family. Montenegro. Renata felt like if the air was lacking. Sofia is my daughter. I'm going to leave here for you. You poison with your evil. You know our anyone, spat Doña Rosa. Nobody in this house respects or my son or me. And if you go, no one will remember you. A mistake that Javier made. And from that by finally is fighting. Renata felt a knot in her throat. I wanted to scream. I wanted to defend. Wanted to make her shut up. But I knew that Doña Rosa had right about something. I went without anything. And that terrified. But no go to give up. Took deeply, forcing himself to keep his calm. I go up, Sofia. And if you try, stop me. I swear that I take care of it. Of everything. Everyone world knows who you really. Doña Rosa, that looked with contempt, and let's see if you. The courage to do it. Renata did lost any time, and running upstairs with his heart hammer. The chest entered in the room of his daughters, and the saw, sleeping with her small body curled up in the bed, her girl, her life filling with courage. Renata. She took in arms without waking her. He carried her the stairs with her head in high. Doña Rosa observed from the living room, with a cruel in his lips. You go ruin your life. Renata stopped at the threshold of the door, and looked at his mother-in-law, with firmly but I prefer to take the risk, to live a life of truth that to being your prisoner. Doña Rosa. No answered. Only she looked with disdain, while Renata crossed the door with Sofia asleep in her arms, walked until the car had got, and without looking back, he started and away from the Hacienda Montenegro. Renata had just lost everything, but also to starting his new life before to continue. We want to know more about you, about where us. Let us a comment with your name of your city or country. Us love to know and meet where they. These stories, the sun barely peeking in the horizon. When Renata crossed the entrance of Mérida, was wearing hours, driving without stopping with eyes swollen, from so crying and their nerves shattered. Sofia still asleep in the back, oblivious, chaos that had left behind. Not had a plan, no had money, no had anywhere go, but I had freedom. It was the only thing was left. The streets of Mérida were extended in front to her, with their colonial and its squares filled with life. A city, beautiful, a place where no one knew, but the reality hit soon. Renata parked in a street with traffic and supported the front in the volante. Not had home, no had job, no had anything. And now, what? A little moan took from her. Thoughts, Mom whispered. Sofia, rubbing her. Renata turned towards her, forcing a smile. Good morning, my love. Sofia blinked, confused, and looked through out window where Renata swallowed in dry, in a place new, my love. Let's go to start from new. The girl puckered her brow, and father, his heart of Renata, shrunk. Dad was stayed in the estate, now you and me. Sofia kept silent for a moment. Then, without prior warning, it enveloped his small arms around the neck of her mother's, and the hugged with force. No me care, Mom, no want. Go there, ever. Renata felt a knot in her throat. I don't, my love. It was moment to act, lit the car, and began to drive. The city needed a place to stay, even outside, for one night. The hotels were outside of their budget. Not could spend it little. Then he remembered that a church in the area of where used to help people in need. Such time there could give a shelter, temporary, and not was wrong. Father Matthias, a kind man. With an aura of peace he received without asking questions, offered a small room inside the convent. Simple, but clean. When Renata entered with Sofia and closed the door behind her, felt that by first time, in a time I could breathe. But I knew that tranquility would be momentary. I needed find work. Renata went the following week traveling. Mérida in search for employment. Not had experience in anything else than in being a mistress of home. Called several doors. They closed in his face. I'm ma'am, but we are looking for someone with experience. Not we are hiring right. Same such time, in another moment, desperate accepted to wash dishes in a small restaurant for exchange for food. For her and Sofia was a hard job, but it could afford. Reject it. It worst came when he tried. Find a school for Sofia. The principal of school nearest close was firm. No, we accept to your daughter without documentation and without payment. Payment of the registration. Renata felt a pang of despair for favor. Is only until that I get a job stable. I regret, ma'am. Their rules when it came out. School with Sofia. From the hand felt that the world weighed more than ever. Nothing was going right. It leaned against a wall and closed his eyes with force. Mom, the voice of Sofia, the maid, react. Yes, my love. The girl smiled with sweetly. No, be sad, come on to be fine, Renata swallowed. Her that threatened to break her daughter was stronger. strong than she herself. She deeply, and took a decision. No was to give up, had to find an opportunity, it that was. That afternoon, while walking without direction, passed in front of, by a small artisan, the smell of freshly baked filled the air in the window. Were cakes decorated with masterfully, cakes with fruit and cookies, with delicate, a place full with warmth. Renata stopped, without to that. He then that, a voicemail took them his thoughts. Do you want? Try one? Renata blinked in surprise and lifted her a young of kind and smile, and the observed from the door of premises that you, like it what you, Renata blushed, feeling exposed it. No, I didn't bother. I denied. Know it annoyance, I am Gabriel, the owner of the bakery, handed a wrapped in a napkin. Takes is courtesy of the house. Renata hesitated but finally agreed to, so that he tried something so delicious. Gabriel noticed her expression and smiled. If you like, I can teach you how. Make them, Renata. She looked with surprise. What are looking help in the kitchen? Not just feel to learn. Renata felt that her heart was aflutter. You're offering work just if you interested, era. The opportunity that there been waiting. Yes, for. Please, Gabriel. Smiled. Okay, then we'll start tomorrow. Renata felt that for first time in a time something in your life was changing for the no. It would be easy, but it was a beginning, and take advantage of with all its strengths. The dawn in Merida brought with it a sensation different for Renata. By first time in a time, I woke up with fear, woke up with hope. Sophia still asleep in the small bed of the refuge, its tangled over the pillow. Renata, the observed for AA, and caressed her cheek with tenderness. Today is a new day. My love whispered with a renewed in his inner self rose, built with carefully and dressed. Her the best clothes I some pants of denim worn, and a white simple knot was elegant, but it was ready to her first day at work before leaving. Left a kiss on the forehead of Sophia and went to the bakery. Not had experience, no, had knowledge. But I had desire to learn when Renata arrived to the bakery. Gabriel already was there arranging tray of bread, freshly baked in the shelves. The aroma of vanilla, cinnamon, and sugar permeated the air. Good day, he greeted Gabriel with a smile, ready to start. Renata nodded, although for inside, she was full with nerves. Ready Gabriel, took to the kitchen, and introduced them. The other employees, a small, but friendly. This is Ignacio, our baker head. He will teach the basics. Ignacio, a man of around 50 years with a mustache, looked at her, up above to down, and clicked his tongue. I wait. That you be lazy, he said with abruptly. Renata straightened her back. I will. My best effort. Ignacio. No responded. Only him, threw a apron and pointed a table with work, then start here. Renata didn't take to realize that working in a bakery was easy. The heat of the ovens was suffocating. The flour stuck to her skin. Her hands were tired from kneading. The dough and Ignacio didn't had patience. No like woman. Look at you. You doing, he growled when Renata tried. Give shape to a bread, and it did too big. No is any mass's art. Renata felt the shame burn in his chest, but he pressed his, and continued. Could give up. They passed the hours, and his mistakes accumulated, piled up. They fell a tray of cookies mixed badly, the ingredients of a cake, and for the he burned his hand with the oven, felt clumsy, felt useless. Gabriel felt realized of his frustration, and he approached to her with a calm. No one learns everything in one single day. Renata, not demand. So she took deeply and nodded. Right when the day ended. Renata sat down. A chair in small dressing room, and rubbed his temples, was exhausted. But when Gabriel reached out, extended his first payment. Not was much, but it's something felt a satisfaction. Immense for first time in years. They're earned money with his own effort. Thanks for giving this opportunity, you said to Gabriel with her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you to you for not giving up. Renata left from the bakery with his small bag of money and went to refuge, bought bread and milk at the way. Not was a banquet, but it would enough to her and Sophia when she to room and saw his daughter wake up her showed the bread with a smile today. I bought with my first day of work, my love, Sophia joined, and took a piece of bread with little hands you did. Did Mom? Renata denied, with the her no yet, but soon I will learn. Sophia bit the bread and smiled. Is delicious, Renata, she observed, and felt a knot in his throat. That simple bread had a meaning and era. The first step to recover your life, Renata worked on the bakery. For the following, striving hard than ever. Gabriel came into her support, was patient, kind, and always had kind of encouragement. You have talent, Renata, only need a confidence. She knows it, appreciated, with a shy. Although by inside still had doubts about whether herself. But just when I was starting to feel stable, the past returned to catch up with her one afternoon. While I was finishing his shift, he heard murmurs in the entrance of the bakery. When he picked it up, his heart stopped. Doña Rosa was there, dressed in her impeccable suit by designer, with her hair perfectly styled, and her haughty. Renata felt that the ground disappeared under their feet. How they had found Doña Rosa, and with her, and frowned his brow with disgust, thus that this is in it what you have become, a simple baker. Renata pressed her fists. What are you here, Doña Rosadio? A step more, and looked with contempt. I come to warn me, not believe that you can escape so easily. Renata. Javier. No has said his final word. Renata felt a chill run her back. What to say? Doña Rosa smiled, with malice of truth. You believed that you could take them without consequences. Renata felt that she, lacking her heir. Sophia is my daughter, as is a daughter of Javier. The world of Renata was shook. Doña Rosa leaned slightly towards her, and whispered, Enjoy your new life, darling, because soon you the will take, Renata felt. The panic rise through his throat when Doña Rosa left she there paralyzed had been a threat, and knew that Doña Rosa didn't say things in vain. Javier was to fight for custody of Sophia, and Renata had anything to face it. Renata was paralyzed in the door of the bakery, watching at Doña Rosa walk away with the same elegance that always the had despised. But this time his humiliation was the worst. Javier was to take from Sophia. A shiver ran her body, his chest, and rose, and with breaths agitated, the fear grasping her by the throat, not could allow it. Renata, the voice of Gabriel, the maid, react. Who was that woman? She pressed her fists with strength. My nightmare seemed that it was trying. Intimidate you. Renata let go a bitter. That is the only that knows to do, was turned, unable to continue looking. The street for where Doña Rosa went had gone, Gabriel. The studied in silence. If you need help, you can count on me. Her looked with gratitude, but also with sadness. Thanks, Gabriel, but this is my struggle. He nodded. Although in his there something more. Worry Renata. No. It blamed she herself, she afraid, but no was to let that fear paralyze. Not this time. 2 days after, Renata received an envelope in the door of shelter, where lived with Sophia in envelope with the stamp of a law. Lawyers did needed open it to know what it demand for the custody of Sophia. Javier was moving his connections, and Renata didn't had absolutely anything to defend Mom. What is that? Sophia was looked at with curiosity, without understanding the gravity of situation. Renata forced to smile. Nothing important, my love. Bent the letter with trembling, and the kept no could scare her, his daughter. But because inside she, shaking, how could fight against Javier? He had money power connections, and she alone had Sophia. But that was enough. Renata took deeply and took a decision. No was to give up without fighting. If Javier wanted the war, the would have desperate. Renata sought help, legal, but everyone lawyers who consulted told, gave the same answer. Their case is complicated. Javier Montenegro has resources to easily. No have job at stable, or a home of each answer was a blow to her hope. Until, in the last office that visited, found someone who did not. Rejected immediately. My name is Arturo Velasquez, he said, a man of age with glasses and a suit worn. I heard your case and want help, Renata. Half closed her eyes suspiciously. By what wouldn't. No, I money to pay. Arturo bowed forward. Not all is about money. I know who it, Javier Montenegro and I, that know is a man who should raise a girl. Renata felt a chill, what you know. Let's say that I seen of what it capable. Renata swallowed in, dry. Do you think that I can win? Arturo observed in silence, and then nodded. If you get a job stable and a place to live. Yes. Renata felt that the air was lacking. That was fair. It what no have I, will it that it. Arturo smiled slightly. Then let's begin. Renata left from office with only single idea in mind. Had that achieved stability? And quickly when arrived to the bakery, Gabriel noticed immediately that something was wrong. What happened? Renata took deeply. I need find a better job and a better. Gabriel crossed his. Because what she hesitated wanted, tell him everything. That's something personal. Gabriel, the observed with intensity has to do to Sophia. Renata pressed her. Yes. He nodded, and after a few seconds he spoke. I have an idea. Renata blinked in surprise. What idea? Gabriel smiled. What such? If you, working for me and you start to work with me. Renata pursed her. No, understand. You have talent. Renata, I seen you learn quickly, and if it you is stability. For why not think big? Renata released a laugh in disbelief. You want me open my own business. Gabriel shrunk. His, because why not? I can help no. For you to start alone. Renata felt her heart race was a madness, but perhaps not it what always had dreamed Gabriel. They looked with seriousness. I know you. You fear Renata, but if you want to recover the control of your life, you to take risks. She swallowed saliva. And if failure. Gabriel smiled, and if you succeed. Renata, she lowered the her for first time. At a time someone trusted in her, and perhaps only. Perhaps it was moment to trust in yourself, in also the plan. Of Gabriel was echoing in the head of Renata's for all night open. Its own business was was impossible, but perhaps not. It impossible that escape from the Montenegro. Montenegro not was impossible. That find a job when he had anything, and still, so it had achieved it. Sat sitting in the small bed of the refuge, watching Sophia, sleep it would for her daughter, because no one was going. Take her away. From the morning next, Renata arrived early to the bakery. Gabriel, was waiting with a cup of coffee in the hand. Didn't sleep right. She sighed, and she shrunk his shoulders. I was thinking about your proposal. Gabriel took a sip of coffee, and he an eyebrow, and Renata looked intently. I'm going. Do? He smiled with satisfaction. Good decision. Renata let go the air that had been holding. But there a problem, which I have money. Gabriel left the cup on the counter and crossed his arms. There is where in Renata. Puckered her brow. What do say I have something in savings we can partner? You contribute the talent, I the capital, initial. Renata felt that she lacking her air. Not can accept that, Gabriel smiled. You I'm giving anything. It a business of the two, her, she, her. No didn't owe anything to anyone but he. And if this was its only chance, breathed deep. It is okay, I'll Gabriel extended his hand. Associates, Renata hesitated because a moment, but then with determination he squeezed his hand. His new life was to begin. The days following were a whirlwind. Renata and Gabriel worked without rest to put his bakery, rented a small shop in a busy. They painted the walls, bought equipment for second-hand, and began to trying recipes. Renata discovered something that she had imagined had talent. With every cake, every cookie that baked something inside of her, it ignited, was good. In this, very good but fair when started to feel that his life was taking the blow one afternoon. To returning to refuge, he found a woman waiting for her in the door. Renata Alarcón. Renata felt a chill. Yes, the woman. Lit A on this is for you. Renata took the envelope with trembling. What is this? A summons. Javier had filed the lawsuit formal for custody of Sofia. Renata felt that the floor was crumbling under their feet. No, the woman she left without saying anything more. Renata opened the envelope and read the first lines. Application for custody for Javier Montenegro, mother without financial means, or a fixed home, father with better resources, account with better resources to well-being of the minor. Her body began to shake. Mom, what happening? The voice of Sofia, that took from her paralysis. Renata lifted her, and saw his daughter standing in the door with her. Teddy in arms. The fear, the consumed. Javier wanted, snatch her away. No, would allow. Renata bent the letter and put it away. She approached to her daughter, and her hugged with force. Nothing, my love. Everything will be but for inside. Not I certain of how it to win this battle. On day next, Renata arrived to the bakery with his eyes swollen. From so crying, Gabriel noticed immediately. What happened? She left the citation on the counter. Gabriel read it in silence. When it ended, his jaw. He tightened that damn. Renata rubbed her eyes, exhausted, not know what to do. Gabriel, don't have anything to do to fight against him. Gabriel clenched his fists. You a business, going running. That is something yet not is registered, not have enough. Gabriel kept silent for a moment, and then, as if the universe would like give another shot at Renata, sounded her phone when the name in the screen, the fear, froze the blood. Doña Rosa. Her finger trembled, as sliding the screen to respond. What? You? The voice of Doña Rosa sounded cold, calculating. Only called to see how you, dear, should be hard to know that soon you will lose your daughter. Renata felt nauseous. No go to lose. No. Because from here everything points to that Javier has the advantage. Renata pressed her. If you? That me leaving to give, no, I know. Doña Rosa let go a cruel. Oh, Renata, who I know you, the same woman, weak and pathetic, who always you were. Renata felt rage, but she forced to not lose control. Control not on myself, same as before. We'll see how long. When I take the only thing you left is call it cut. Renata was staring at phone with blood boiling already. No treating only about fighting. It was about survival that night while observing Sofia. Sleep. Renata took a decision. If she win, had to change the rules of game, not could fight with. The money of Javier could fight with his contacts, but could fight with his history, could demonstrate who was Javier Montenegro, and could demonstrate that she was a mother, capable. She got up from the bed with his heart beating with strength. I will it to stay with my daughter. And this time, she, who attack first the dawn in Merida, brought with it a new Nata already. No era, the woman defeated, who was trampled by Javier and Doña Rosa. Era a mother willing to fight with and teeth for her daughter. After the threat of his ex-mother-in-law, Renata knew that she could stay waiting. Javier had money and power, but she had something that they could imagined, determination. If the Montenegro thought to destroy it, first they would. To see it fall from there is time to change the game. Renata arrived early to the bakery. Gabriel already was there, waiting for her with a coffee in the hand. You have that look. Other time. That look. Like someone about to do something crazy. Renata smiled with determination. I'm going to do public it what Javier did. Gabriel blinked, surprised. Speaking seriously? Completely. Renata knew that the courts favored them. The parents with greater financial. Javier could pay. Judges could manipulate the system, but could manipulate the public. Public, if Renata managed expose him, her reputation would be destroyed. Is risky, said Gabriel, crossing his arms. The know and how you plan, do it. Renata inspired. Deep, I'm going to give an interview. Renata went the afternoon, contacting independent, to not trusted in the mainstream. In many of them were bought by the Montenegro. Finally, a digital, called Voice of the Truth, accepted his story at day. Next, a journalist named Tomas Rios received in a cafe. Your story is strong, Renata, but I need proof. Renata nodded and slid over by the table. Here you have. Tomas opened the and took photographs from the messages from Javier with Regina. Documents that proved that Renata had been evicted without anything, and testimonies of the treasury that knew how Doña Rosa, the treated Tomas, whistled, impressed. This is dynamite, then. Do it. Explode. 3 days after the interview, it published headline on Dark Secret of the Montenegro, the history of a mother who lost everything, and fights to his daughter. The news became viral. The article spread like wild. The social were filled with indignant, what horror. No believe that there are men, like Javier Montenegro is a disgusting of person. I wish justice is on side. Of Renata, always knew that family was hiding something. Poor woman in question of hours. The image public of Javier began to too, and the first in react was Regina herself same night. Renata received a message from, it was a number unknown, but the content was clear. We have to talk, dry, that can help the sender. Regina Renata arrived at point of an hotel, discreet in the outskirts of Merida. Regina was waiting in the lobby with dark glasses and a tense expression. Never thought that I would accept to see you, said Renata. Crossing her, Regina sighed and took off her glasses. Looked more tired of than Renata remembered. Was come to fight then. Regina looked around, making sure that no one, the listening. Javier me was to leave. Renata half closed her eyes. Because what would that? Regina laughed without humor. Because I want to see. Fall. Renata felt a chill had weighted many things from that night. But he imagined that the lover of her husband would, his ally. What do? Regina took her phone and slid the screen. It what Renata saw. Took her. God mine. Renata. No could believe it, she. In the screen were documents of illegal evidence of fraud in the company of Javier, and emails compromising if this comes out. The light. Regina nodded. No, alone, lose the custody of Sophia, could go to jail. Renata felt a chill run her body. Javier always had been cruel, manipulative, but never imagined that he involved in something so serious. You are sure of that? This is real. Regina nodded, with firmly. Absolutely. Renata closed her eyes and took deeply this era. The opportunity that I waiting for was to end with Javier Montenegro, and it would of the way most painful possible by exposing it before the world. Send me everything, said Renata with a firm. Regina looked with a mixture of respect and fear. I will do, but be careful, Javier. Don't go going. Stay still. Renata took her bag and got up from the table, which he tried not have anything to lose. He left from hotel with his heart pounding with strength. The game had changed now at she who had the control. Renata held her phone with tightly, while the tests of fraud of Javier was unloaded in his tray of in. It was the beginning of end for the Montenegro was taken a moment to take it in. So years of humiliation, of contempt, of pain, and now had in his hands the opportunity to bring down the man who destroyed, but had to do it well. Couldn't. Could rush. Took deeply. It would be meticulous, methodical, relentless. Your end has come, Javier. Renata has all the night organizing the information, documents, emails, transfers, illegal. All was there, but throw the bomb of strike not was enough. Had to make sure that Javier does not defend himself did 3 things. Sent copies of the tests to his lawyer, Arturo Velasquez. Him would of putting the case legal handed over the documents. To Tomas Rios, the journalist who published his first story. This time, the scandal would even bigger, leaked by of the information on social networks in anonymously. Now only left, wait and it long, to the next. The news exploded in all to the media. Javier Montenegro investigated for fraud and money of money. Companies. Montenegro in crisis trials of corruption emerge to the light ex-wife of Javier Montenegro. Him accuses for psychological and neglect. The news broadcast the story. Throughout all day, the members of Javier began to withdraw their investments. The prestige from the Montenegro was crumbling like a sandcastle of sand, and Renata knew that it worst for him was to come hours later. Of the explosion, media, Javier burst into the bakery of Renata. Her face was red with fury. His bloodshot eyes blazed. "Renata, what did you do?" Renata maintained firm, behind, counter. "Alone, I counted the truth." Javier hit the counter with force, causing shaking, the tremble of bread. "You ruined my life." Renata let go a bitter. "No, Javier. You the ruined alone. Me, let's make sure. Era a warrior." And she had defeated. But the Montenegrins did not. Were to fall without fighting. Hours later, the confrontation with Javier Renata received a call. When she saw the number, his heart stopped. It. School of Sofia. She attended with the chest with Mrs. Renata. "We have a problem. What is your daughter disappeared on phone almost was him." Fall of her hands. "How it disappeared. A woman came to pick it up, said that you had sent Renata. Felt that the world was spinning. Only could be one person. Doña Rosa. No, went out running from the bakery with Gabriel following the fence. Close Renata. What happening? They to Sofia. Renata arrived to the estate Montenegro. As a hurricane hit the door with all his strength open. This door. A guard attempted, stop her, but she pushed with a force that not even knew that he entered running into living room and there was Doña Rosa sitting in her armchair with a glass of wine in hand. "Hand always, you dear." Renata felt a fire run her body. "Where is my daughter?" Doña Rosa smiled with malice at her room where it belongs. Renata pressed her fists. "I'm going to take it out here." Doña Rosa took a sip of wine with calm. Javier already is preparing the papers to claim for custody full. And now everything the world knows about his scandal. Who do you think that the judge will her the mother with a business without registered or to man with money? Renata felt a pang of fear, but no going to let be no. After of all it that had done took a deeply and smiled with coldly. "Your last name already. No worth anything, Doña Rosa, the son of her ex-mother-in-law, disappeared. From what you speak." Renata took out her phone and opened a live video that almost 100,000 people were watching on the screen. Tomas Rios was talking to Arturo Velasquez, his lawyer. "We have discovered that Doña Rosa Montenegro was also involved in her son's fraud." Doña Rosa's face fell. Renata smiled with satisfaction. Just then, sirens were heard outside. Police officers stormed the estate. Doña Rosa Montenegro was arrested for complicity in fraud and money laundering. The woman's eyes widened in terror. "You can't do this to me. I'm a Montenegro." The officers handcuffed her without hesitation. Not for long. Renata didn't stay to watch them take her away. She ran up the stairs and opened the door to Sofia's room. Her daughter was sitting on the bed with tears in her eyes. When she saw her, she ran into her arms. "Mommy." Renata hugged her so tightly that she felt she would never let her go. "It's over, my love. Everything is fine. Sophia looked at her fearfully. We're going home. Renata closed her eyes and nodded. Yes, my love, home at last. Days later, Javier Montenegro was arrested. The Montenegros lost everything, and Renata gained her freedom. Her business grew, her life changed, but most importantly, she had Sophia by her side, and she would never be trampled on again, because now she was the one in control of her destiny. The Montenegro estate was in ruins, not because of the passage of time, but because of the fall of the Montenegros. Javier was in prison, and Doña Rosa was also in prison for the first time in her life. Renata was truly free, but freedom was not enough. She wanted more. She wanted success. She wanted to make sure that Sophia would never suffer again, and she would achieve this with the money she saved and with Gabriel's help. Renata formally registered her business. If you like these kinds of transformation stories, subscribe and be the first to hear about the new episode. Sweet Rebirth became one of the most famous bakeries in the city. Customers lined up to try her desserts. Renata's story inspired thousands of women. The media sought her out for interviews. One day she received an unexpected invitation to a conference in Mexico City for women entrepreneurs. The event was huge. Businesswomen from all over the country would be there, and they wanted Renata tell her story. She stared at the email with her heart racing. It was her chance to inspire more people. It was the perfect ending to her story of overcoming adversity. When Renata took the stage, the auditorium was full. Hundreds of people were watching her. She took a deep breath. She wasn't afraid. She took the microphone and smiled. A year ago, I had nothing. They took everything from me. They humiliated me. They made me feel worthless. She paused for a moment, remembering every tear she had shed. But I discovered something. When you hit rock bottom, there is only one way up. The audience was completely silent, hanging on her every word. Today, I am here because I refused to give up. And I want every person in this auditorium to understand something. No one can decide your destiny but you. The auditorium erupted in applause. Renata closed her eyes and smiled. She had won. After the conference, Renata walked through the halls of the event, thanking people for their shows of affection. And then she heard a familiar voice. I'm still impressed by how strong you are. Renata turned and saw Andres, a well-known businessman in the restaurant industry, with a warm smile and eyes full of admiration. She blinked in surprise. Andre, what are you doing here? He smiled. Listening to you. Renata felt her heart race. Why? Andres took a step toward her. Because I've always admired you. Renata looked down, nervously. I don't know if I'm ready for this. Andres gently took her hand. You have to hurry, but I want to be by your side when you are ready. Renata looked him in the eyes and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Maybe, just maybe, this time it really was love. While Renata was glowing, the Montenegros were consumed by their own misfortune. Javier lost everything in prison. No one respected him. His partners abandoned him. Regina disappeared from his life. Doña Rosa was in prison and grew old alone and forgotten. Renata never saw them again and never thought about them again because her life was ahead, not behind. Renata walked through the streets of Mérida with Sophia by the hand. Mom, are you happy? Renata looked at her daughter and smiled. Yes, my love, more than ever. Life had taken a lot from her, but she had recovered everything and more. Now she was in control of her destiny and would never again let anyone make her feel less, because she was strong, she was free, and she was ready for whatever the future had in store for her.